But think about when you were a kid, you had so much energy, you couldn't watch TV just sitting in a chair. You had to stand on your head or be half on the chair and half off, and the commercial would come on and you'd wrestle with each other until the show came back. Hell, if you walked in my house now and you found me watching the TV with my butt on the sofa and my head on the floor, call 911. Because even if I am still alive, there's no way I'm going to be able to get back into a standing position by myself. But I had a great childhood. You know, I played every sport for the recreation center. My parents didn't make me pick one sport because they thought I was going to play professional whatever. I played every sport. And it was weird back then because if you wanted a trophy, you had to finish in first place. It was nuts. I don't know who closes the door when the bus driver gets off. Don't think about that. That'll give you a headache. I don't know why the bank leaves the vault door wide open but chains the 25-cent ink pen to the counter. And why does the drive-up banking window have directions written in Braille? They do. Look at it the next time you're there. No more parents at Little League games. We've tried it. It doesn't work. Children's recreational sports were started for kids to have fun. It is the grown-ups that took the fun out of it. Seriously, parents, no more serious. Parents, no more yelling at the coaches. The coaches are not the reason your child is not going to play professional sports. Your genetics are the reason your child is not going to play professional sports. And no more trophies for everybody. And no more not keeping score. Seriously, no matter how badly you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, the truth in life is there are winners and there are losers. And if you don't believe me, let's get in my car and go to Walmart after midnight. Walmart after midnight makes The Walking Dead look like America's Next Top Model. No more letting people over 65 forward emails. They can use the internet, they just can't forward emails. They cannot contain themselves, they forward everything. I spend hours a day deleting the emails of my father-in-law and my mother. And my father-in-laws are always the political ones. If you don't send this to 1 million people tonight, you are not an American. Well, I was gonna watch TV, but this is gonna take a while. And my mothers are always the humorous ones, which she mislabels in the subject line. She'll have funniest thing I've ever seen. No, it's not, Mother. It's 2 kittens in a clothes basket. At best, it's mildly amusing, and you're distracting me from surfing the web looking for nursing homes within driving distance. See, when it comes to technology, my wife and I laugh about this because we're in our mid-50s, and my wife says we are the bologna in the technology bologna sandwich. We're right in the middle because our parents can't text and our children can't write. My kids don't even think you need to study. They're like, Dad, if you want to know something, you just Google it. And to a point, they're right. I mean, when I was growing up, if you were watching TV and somebody said, what was that guy in? You'd go, well, he looks familiar. That was it. Now you're watching TV, somebody goes, what was that guy in? Somebody goes, he was the janitor on Joey. Of course he was. But I try to tell my kids, I said, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can learn from Google. I said, but there's just as much stuff you can't learn from Google. You only learn it from life experience. You'll usually learn most of it the hard way. It's stuff that's not Googleable. I don't know if that's a word. But I call them the facts of life. It's stuff you can't Google. Like this, fact of life. I remember as a child going to the doctor, and if you behaved yourself and you didn't cry, if you got a shot, you always got to pick out a toy from the treasure chest behind the nurse's station. Anybody remember the treasure chest? Why did that have to stop? Seriously, I wouldn't mind going to the doctor now and him putting on a rubber glove to check my prostate if I knew on the way out I could swing by the treasure chest and get a new spider ring. Yeah. That baby glows in the dark. Turn out the lights. Check that out right there. I remember being a kid laying in the back window of the car riding all the way to Florida. Nowadays, because of child car seat laws, you have to be in the 6th grade before you can see where you're going instead of where you just been. You know? And nowadays, one of the hardest things in our lives is we have to remember passwords. Nobody can remember their password to anything. There's so many of them. You know, when I was growing up back in the good old days, I only had to remember one password. That was the password to get into our secret clubhouse back in the woods. And it was a beauty. What's the password? Boobies. It was all we thought about, so why not make it the password? Every meeting I ever remember having in the clubhouse, that's what it was about. And one of my friends, I think he's in prison now, had a theory that if heaven was a perfect place, once you got past the pearly gates, it would just be a giant field of naked boobies and that they'd let you take your shoes off and run around for a little while. I remember thinking right then and there, I'm going to church. I know education is probably better now. I don't know why the people with the worst breath always stand the closest to you when they talk. They're like, guess what? I don't know, you have a dirty diaper in your mouth? Can I tell you something? All right, but do it quick. I can only hold my breath for 30 seconds. And you always try to offer them like a piece of gum or a mint. They never take it. Oh, no thanks. I don't like the way those taste. Yeah, I can see where you wouldn't prefer peppermint to that cat poop you're gnawing on right now. That's, Well, I haven't decided if I'm running for president or not yet. I started to say I'm not qualified, but this time around it doesn't really matter, does it? Oh my gosh. Well, here's the deal. I mean, like all of y'all, I watch this stuff every day, and it amuses me that all these candidates, they just keep promising people more and more and more. And as I watch it, I think that's not really the problem that we have in America. We don't need more. We have so much stuff now, we can't even enjoy the people we love. What we need is more common sense. And seriously. So if I was running, what I would do is use some common sense and start taking away some of the stupid stuff we don't need. I'd call them no mores. Day number 1, no more picking up dog poop. It's embarrassing. We are the top of the food chain. No other animal picks up another animal's poop. Monkeys pick up their own and throw it, but they're kind of the comedians of the animal world. And they're just trying to make the school kids laugh. But they have a rule in my neighborhood. If you walk your dog and your dog does his business in somebody else's yard, you need to get a little plastic bag, pick it up, and dispose of it. So you drive through my neighborhood and there's all these attractive women walking around with poo-poo purses. And I know the dogs are confused. The dog's like, wait a minute, you're taking it back home? Why did we have to walk 3 blocks? I could have pooped in the living room, saved us both some embarrassment. What a stupid rule. Why would they have us pick it up? It's fertilizer. It makes the grass grow. Lord, it's not like some child is going to step in it. A kid hadn't played in the yard since 1982. You know what's sad? We have an entire generation that has no idea how to get dog poop off the bottom of their shoe. But when I was growing up, we played in the yard every day, and every day somebody stepped in dog poop. And when it was your turn, you knew what to do about it. You would hobble over to the curb and scrape the biggest part off on the edge of the curb. Then you would find a puddle and you would swirl the bottom of your shoe around in the puddle. Then limp over to the grass and do the brush stroke back and forth. Then you would find a little bitty piece of stick and you would sit down on the curb and you would pick it out of the zigzag pattern on the bottom. Then you wore those shoes to church the next day. And nobody in that church knew you'd stepped in dog poop. So no more picking up dog poop. So she called me one night and I answered because I didn't have anything to do for an hour and a half. And I'm talking to my mom. Well, during the call, my mom mentioned that there had been a couple of break-ins in her neighborhood. And I said, well, Mom, that's a little concerning. She said, I know. She said, that is why I am thinking about getting my carry permit. My mother is 85 years old. Her eyesight is bad, her hearing is worse, and she has the balance of Ron White after midnight. And now she's thinking about getting a pistol. And I said, look, Mom, I said, I am a supporter of the Second Amendment. I said, and you can call me overly cautious. I said, but maybe you shouldn't be packing heat if you're wearing a life alert. Though she could use her pillboxes to sort the bullets in. Yeah. I said, Mom, I said, you might want to think this out. I said, you better hope loading the thing is easier than opening a jar of pickles or you're going to be in trouble. Because she has arthritis, in her fingers. And then I thought, hell, I bet my agent could get her a commercial. My arthritis had gotten so bad that I could barely jack around into the chamber. But thanks to new improved buffering, I can make it rain, dog. You feel me, bruh? I hung up the phone and said to my wife, I said, well, I know what I'm getting Mom for Christmas. I'm going to get her the magnetic holster she can slap on the side of her walker. And I'm getting her husband the bulletproof vest he can wear underneath his cardigan sweater just in case she goes spider monkey during the Wheel of Fortune. And that's where my wife and I are in life right now. Is we got our kids grown, got them out of the house, we had a quick snack, now we're raising our parents. I swear they passed each other in the driveway. And let me tell you something, I thought teenagers were crazy. Teenagers are a piece of cake compared to old people. They're nuts. And it was like the never-ending list. Like, I don't know how they know how long to make the cord for the first bungee jump at a new place. It's like, all right, Ed, let him jump. All right, Ed, shorten it up a little bit. Give his girlfriend a free t-shirt. No more sugar-free cookies. So, it's like going to the drive-in movie by yourself. You can do it, but it ain't ending in a smile. You're an adult. If you want a cookie, eat a cookie. If you want sugar-free, eat celery. Quit wasting valuable cookie dough on sugar-free cookies. Nobody likes them. Now, you hear this a lot in an election year like this year. I was getting my car serviced a while back, and they called to say it was ready. I called my father-in-law. I said, hey, can you give me a ride to the car dealership? On the way to the dealership, he needed to stop for gas. I learned on that little stop that it is possible to wash your entire car with the squeegee from the gas station. And I know this because I sat in the passenger seat and watched him do it. Well, I sat there until the guy at the next pump started videoing it. Then I slid down in the floorboard because I didn't want to get tagged on Instagram. He got back in the car. I said, you do realize the gas station has got a car wash right there? He goes, yeah, well, that's $6. I'm like, so to save $6, you gave away all your dignity and washed your car with a squeegee and the dirtiest water on the planet Earth. I used to have fantasies about going out with a girl as nasty as the squeegee water at the gas station. He is such a trip. And he walks around, he's got his pants up to his nipples now. And he just talks about how the world has gone to hell in a hay wagon and it used to be so much better back in the good old days. Of course, when he describes the way he grew up, it's always tough. You know, it's like, oh, yeah, we had no electricity. Me and my brother shared a pair of shoes. We had to walk to school through 5 feet of snow. I'm like, when did it snow 5 feet in New Orleans? But I kind of get what he means about the good old days. Because, think about it, as you get old, technology has changed your entire life. Morality has changed. Society has changed. And all of a sudden, you find yourself living in a world that doesn't make sense to you. So you kind of long for that world where you felt like you had things figured out. And to them, that's the good old days. But it couldn't have been perfect. I was asking my mom about it. All of them talk about the war on women. They each blame each other for having a war on women, which is stupid. This is a media thing. Nobody would have a war on women because they would never win an election. Common sense. If there is any war on women, it's men fighting with each other trying to get a woman. Because everybody loves women. And you know why every man wants a woman? Because women are in sole possession of the most valuable thing on the planet. A brain. These two guys are like, well, I missed that one. Well, guess what? They own all of that too. Which I think is part of God's great plan. See, I think God created women to guide men through life. But God knew men were hard-headed and men weren't going to listen to women. So God gave women the other stuff just to make us pay attention. I just think he may have underestimated how powerful the other stuff was going to be to us. Well, think about this. Adam and Eve live in the Garden of Eden. God says to them, you will never be hungry, you'll never be thirsty, you'll never be sick, you'll never die. I'm going to come by every afternoon and go for a walk with you. There's only one rule to live here. Don't eat the fruit off of that one tree. Now, God had no more than gotten in his car and driven off when Eve walked over to the tree and picked an apple and looked at Adam and said, think we should eat this? And he looked at her standing there buck naked and went, hell yeah, baby, if you want to, let's do it. If God had put her in a flannel nightgown, we might all be living in paradise today. I don't know why the dentist makes you lie to him. Every time I go to the dentist, he'll be looking at my mouth. He's like, oh, you have not been flossing every day, have you? No, not every day. Yeah, let me think. The last time I flossed, you did it. No more reality TV shows. Seriously. If I want to watch the day-to-day life of unattractive, uneducated people, I will hang out with my own family. Thank you very much. No more breast reduction surgeries. I mean, why should I be penalized just because your back hurts? Come on. Take an Advil, for crying out loud. No more commercials where some law group is trying to get somebody to sue somebody else. We are the most sue-happy nation on earth, which is why our car insurance is so expensive, which is why our medical insurance is so expensive, all the lawsuits. And it started with cars. Have you been in a car accident? Do you know someone that's been in a car accident? Have you ever heard about a car accident? Now it's everything. Has a woman with a vaginal mesh implant given you the prescription drug fen-phen, which caused you to develop mesothelioma? If so, you could be owed billions. I just remember that happened to me last summer. Yes, sir. And do you know my mom had an outhouse until she was 14 years old? And I said, well, Mom, what would you do in the wintertime if you had to go to the bathroom and it was late at night? She said, we went in a bucket. That's what they called it, a slop jar or a honey pot. That's what they did. They went to the bathroom in a bucket. And I'm thinking, I know how my wife responds to the aroma of a broccoli casserole that has been in the refrigerator one day too long. I cannot imagine her response to a bucket of turds in the living room. And you know, one of the euphemisms for dying is he kicked the bucket. I bet you that's what that's talking about. Hey, baby, I'm sorry, but I accidentally kicked over that bucket there in the living room. I think if things had been perfect in the good old days, the guy that invented Viagra wouldn't be a billionaire. Because back in the good old days, when God told you you were out of the game, you just walked out in the backyard and started a garden. And the only hoe you were playing with was the one to get the weeds out of the tomatoes. But now, thanks to Viagra, people are playing into their 80s. Let that mental image sink in just a second. Just that pile of flesh, and everything in the pile looks like it needs ironing, you know? I do think it's cool that the nursing homes are now giving the old guys half a tablet a night, you know, just to keep them from falling out of bed. So, kind of a kickstand deal there. And now everybody talks about this stuff. You know, back in the good old days, if a man was trying to shoot pool with a rope, he kept it to himself. But now it's a cottage industry. I heard a radio ad the other day where this guy said, thanks to his ED formulas, he could now help men perform for 30, 60, even 90 minutes. And I'm thinking, 90 minutes? Blah! Oh my gosh, my attention span is not that long. After 20, I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna go make a sandwich. You want anything? I mean, there is a little something to aging gracefully, right? I don't know how women can lie down on the couch and take a nap without sticking their hand in the top of their pants. How do y'all do that? See, men have a sleep button located right below our navel. We put our hand on that button and you know, the thing that we had mounted on the wall in the kitchen, that was only a phone. This is everything. This is everything we used to go somewhere else to get. Like people used to stay up late to watch the 11 o'clock news so they knew what the sports scores were and they knew what the weather was going to be. Well, now you have up-to-the-minute radar. You've got the weather for the next 2 weeks and you've got all your sports updates right there. This thing is your airline ticket, it's your Bible, it's your flashlight, it's your Rolodex, it's your music library, it's a video arcade. It's a world-class camera. See, some of you younger people don't know this. Cameras used to be separate things, and you would have to buy film and put it in them. And you would take 24 pictures having no idea if they were good or bad or out of focus. And then when you had taken all 24, you would take the film out of it, go to the drugstore, and you'd give it to them where they would process it. And then after everybody that worked at the drugstore had had an opportunity to look at your pictures, they would call you and you would go get them. And you knew they'd look at you, you were picking them up, and they're like, when'd y'all go to the Grand Canyon? You son of a bitch. But see, back then, pictures were precious. Even if they were out of focus or somebody's head was cut off, you put them in a photo album because it was your only proof that you had been somewhere. But now you can look at your picture. If something's wrong with it, you delete it and take another one. So pictures are no longer precious. We just take pictures of everything. My daughters take pictures of their food. When we're in restaurants, when the waiter puts their plate down, my daughters are like, hold on, the camera eats first. They take a picture of their food and send it to their friends. I'm like, hell, when I was growing up, if you ate a delicious waffle, other people had to take your word for it. This thing is amazing. Do you know this thing, if it is lost, it can find itself? Most of us need Jesus to do that, but not this joker. It can not only find itself, it can find you. It can find anybody in your family. It's a world-class GPS. You put in any direction to anywhere in the world, it will take you right there to it and tell you within the minute what time you're going to get there. See, we didn't have GPS back in the good old days. We had maps. We kept them in the glove compartment of the car. And nobody ever wanted to open them because if you did, you never got it folded back down again. So we were always lost. Hell, when we went on family vacations, the only thing that was recalculating was our dad. All right, kids, I have changed my mind. Instead of going to Disney World, we're all just going to go in this hardware store and have a look around. How about that? This thing is amazing. This little thing is more powerful than the biggest computers we had in the world in 1980. All the knowledge in the world right there at your fingertips. You want to know how much an elephant weighs? Ask your phone. You want to know how tall Tom Cruise is? Ask your phone. See, back in the good old days, if we wanted to know something, we had to wait until our cheap-ass parents broke down and bought a set of encyclopedias. And here was the deal. You didn't get them all at one time. You made a down payment, they'd give you the A volume. You keep making payments, a few years later, you get the B. So that first year, you could talk very intelligently about Antarctica or aardvarks. But if you had to do a school report on Zimbabwe, you were being held back another year. Because that Z volume wasn't coming till you were in your 30s. And I don't know that having all the knowledge in the world. Fact of life, out of all the dinosaurs, the Tyrannosaurus Rex was the meanest because his arms were too short to reach his wiener. That is a medically proven fact. That will make you angry. And you'll never watch Jurassic Park the same way again. Fact of life, if you're driving down the interstate and you come up behind that old pickup truck that has like 13 wooden pallets stacked in the back and they're held together by like 2 ratty bungee cords, we all say the same prayer. Dear God, do not let those bungee cords break until I get around this guy. What happens to them, we don't really worry about, but I need to get around him. Fact of life, when your kids go off to college, you need to be concerned about the excessive drinking, the wild sex, the sleeping till noon, and you need to worry your kids might be doing the same thing. Fact of life, 100% of the black men that shave their heads look really cool. 50% of the white guys that shave their heads look like they just murdered their parents. And you're thinking of somebody right now, aren't you? Fact of life, flying on an airplane makes you gassy. Nobody ever talks about this. Nobody ever acknowledges this. We just take our little roll-around suitcase and walk to baggage claim, popping them off like a trail horse. Okay, let me tell you what makes me feel better. When I write this stuff, I don't know if it's just me or not. But when you laugh like that and start punching each other, I know there's others in the club. And I think that's why TSA is always in such a bad mood, by the way. I don't know why in 2017 there's still certain jobs that are men's jobs or women's jobs. Like if there's a, yeah. But there are, like if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, whose job is it to go check it out? It's the man. You never see this. Phyllis. Phyllis. Run downstairs, see what that noise was. Hey, bring me back a piece of chicken, okay? No, if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, it's the man checking it out. In his underwear, carrying a baseball bat. Because that is the official uniform of suspicious noises, underpants and a baseball bat. Don't know what we're hoping to find, some guy in the living room in his underwear with a ball, yeah. And my dad didn't even need the baseball bat because my dad always wore those gigantic boxer shorts that were always gapped open in the front. That gap was like a taser to a thief. Shut the gap, shut the gap. Take my wallet, just shut that gap. I don't know why every time I get great tickets to a concert, I end up seated next to somebody who has to sing every song at the top of their lungs. A couple years ago, I live in Atlanta. Simon and Garfunkel came to Atlanta. My wife wanted to go. She had a couple of friends that wanted to go. Well, my mother-in-law wanted to go. Give you a little backstory on my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law has a hearing aid that she hardly ever wears because she thinks it doesn't look good, which, as we all know, is the reason they give you a hearing aid. But you can tell when she doesn't have it in, because if she doesn't wear it, she talks louder than anybody on the planet. One night we're at the movie theater, standing in the long line at the movie theater. My mother-in-law tapped me and said, "Don't look now, but the man behind us is cross-eyed as a bat." Which is bad for two reasons. One, you are embarrassed to death. And two, when somebody says something like that, you gotta look, yeah. So I'm like, turn around, this guy is glaring at me. Well, he may not have been glaring at me, but he was glaring at somebody. I mean, he was mad. So we go to Simon and Garfunkel. I end up being next to my mother-in-law. She doesn't have her hearing aid in. She sang every song, and she knew the words to none of them. Like a witch over Bubbles' daughter. Are you kidding me? I will grease your pine. Grease your pine? That's what you got out of that? I mean, because they test you to see if you have learning differences or if you're gifted. They might give you elevated courses. See, back in the good old days, it didn't matter if you were a genius or if you were eating crayons. You were all in the same class. And they put no thought into what they were teaching us. I remember, like my 11th grade year of high school, one semester of English was devoted entirely to poetry. Like, what were blue-collar kids from the wrong side of the tracks going to do with poetry? My husband won't fix the broken screen door. Our cat just threw up a dead bird on the floor. I have 4 little children I constantly feed, so please don't you ask me why I smoke weed. Now they're teaching sex education in the 5th grade, starting in the 5th grade. Nobody taught me about sex back in the good old days. My parents told me nothing. My school taught me nothing. Everything I learned about sex, I pieced together for myself. Like when I was 11, we had an uncle that raised rabbits. And so we were out at his farm one weekend, and he took a group of us out to the shed where he kept the rabbits. And he had all the males in cages on one side and all the females in cages on the other. And he opened a male's cage, grabbed him by the scruff of the neck, walked over, opened a female's cage, and dropped him in there. And that male rabbit jumped on top of that female rabbit and jackhammered like a hurricane for like 5 seconds. And then he fell off on his back. And everybody was laughing except me. Because I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it that fast. Turns out I had nothing to worry about. I don't know why you can't ride a bicycle anymore without dressing like Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France. Does anybody remember when you could ride a bike wearing jeans and a t-shirt? Not anymore, boy. Got to have the uni. And it's not just young athletic people. Got these fat middle-aged guys look like the Michelin Man in a wetsuit. And they have sponsor logos. Who's sponsoring you, Pop? Dunkin' Donuts, all right. Pedal. If you are trying to get to the bathroom in an emergency situation, it is not a wise idea to unbutton your pants in transit trying to save a couple of seconds. Because the muscles that guard the floodgates will interpret the unbuttoning as the signal to abandon their post. And the 2 seconds you saved on the button are nullified by the hour and a half you spend mopping and doing laundry. You only learn that the hard way. Fact of life, out of all the cereals, Captain Crunch is the most time intensive. Here's what I'm talking about. You eat it too soon after you pour the milk on, and you will rip the roof of your mouth to shreds. You wait too long after you pour the milk on, and the captain will put a film on your teeth a wire brush can't get rid of. Fact of life, you can have a wife with long, beautiful hair, or you can be on time. Fact of life, if a cable or satellite company promises you something for free, in 6 months you are going to get a bill that looks like Ron White's bar tab. You know, probably the thing that changed most from the good old days to now is this little gadget right there. This little gadget changed the world. Now everybody on the planet has one of these in their hand, 24/7, 365. Doesn't matter if you're in a third world country, you might not have enough to eat, you got a phone. See, back in the good old days, my entire family had one phone. It was hardwired into the wall of the kitchen. It came in 4 possible colors: black, white, harvest gold, and avocado green. We had the avocado green, and my parents actually sprung for the extra long cord. And let me tell you, the phone company didn't cheat you on the extra long cord. Our phone cord was over 1/4 mile long. My mom could walk down the driveway and check the mail, never quit talking to her sister. You know, it's like... But because the whole family had one phone, you never had any privacy if it was for you. So you learned tricks like you'd run it under the door and go down the hall or sit in the pantry and talk to your boyfriend or girlfriend while your siblings made kissy noises from around the corner. But because you stretched it out so far, remember the downside of the extra long cord? Anybody remember? Yeah, it was always tangled up, like Aunt Judy's thong after kickboxing lessons. But when it was stretched out, it was almost like a lethal weapon. Like my mom used to talk on the phone when she was cooking. Well, they were on other sides of the kitchen. So one night she's cooking and talking on the phone, and I'm chasing my brother through the house. We round into the kitchen. He never saw the phone cord. He hit it right there. His feet went up in the air. The back of his head hit the floor like wedding night panties. My mom never quit cooking and never quit talking. She was... Now, I will say this. Back in the good old days, you got excited when the phone rang. You would race each other to answer the phone because you had no idea who it might be. Might be your grandmother, might be the President of the United States. You didn't know till you picked it up. But now caller ID has taken all the joy out of answering the phone. Now your phone rings, you're like, oh, hell no, I ain't doing that. Nobody got time for that. And because we stick our phones in our pockets and our purses and things, they're always rubbing up against something. Fact of life, it takes more than 2 people to play the who farted game. Well, if there's only 2 of you, you know the truth, and they know the truth. And speaking of which, how come anytime you just try to sneak one out, as soon as you let it go, somebody walks right into it? You could feel it brewing. You could get on a plane, fly to South America, go to the Arctic Circle, get on a dog sled 300 miles to the South Pole, look around, not a living thing in sight. Soon as you let it go, hey, Jeff, are these your car keys? Ah! Oh, my God, what'd you eat, dog food? Ah, it's in my mouth. It's in my mouth. Ah! Fact of life. If you are going to see a scary movie at the movie theater, it will be much more entertaining if you can find a seat directly behind a group of black women. Because not only will you get the scary movie, you will also get their running commentary of the scary movie. Oh, look at this. She running around in her panties like that. Girl, put some drawers on and put that hair up before he snatched that weave out your head. Now, can you see this girlfriend? She going back in the house. No, she going down to the basement. Girl, get your shit and get out there now. Come on, doughboy, pedal on. I don't know why only rednecks are seeing UFOs. And here's the thing, you got to discount 90% of that stuff right off the top. Like my Uncle Jerry swore they had crop circles in their yard. And then we talked to his wife and found out she had called Goodwill and they'd come and pick up the trampoline and the boat trailer. So, hey, mystery solved, all right? But let's just say for a minute, the aliens were real and they were coming to Earth, but they didn't want people to know they were coming to Earth. It would make sense that they only revealed themselves to rednecks. Because A, we usually live out in the country, so there's not going to be a lot of witnesses. B, we have no credibility with the media. I mean, people might believe a doctor from UCLA if he saw one and said, well, they appeared to be bipods from a hydrogen and nitrogen enriched environment whose primary respiratory organ was located within their moist translucent epidermis. As opposed to Cletus in his overalls going, it looked like a giant booger with real skinny legs. I don't know why a dog can eat his own vomit, gobble up cat poop, and lick his rear end for hours and be totally fine. But if he eats half a candy bar, he dies. And we're always accidentally dialing people we didn't mean to dial. We call them butt dials. All right, I'm going to see what an honest audience you are. How many people listen more intently to butt dials than they do actual phone calls? If somebody butt dials me and I don't have anything to do, I'll stay on for like 20 minutes. I'm like, I have a buddy named Pert. He makes furniture, and Pert always sticks his phone in the front pocket of his blue jeans, so he's always butt dialing somebody. And one night he butt dialed me, and I didn't have anything going on, so I'm just sitting there listening to him walk around his shop. And after about 10 minutes, I hear a door open and I hear a lid go up, and I hear him start to pee. Being the mature adult that I am, I jumped out of my chair, ran into the kitchen to my wife, and I went, Pert's peeing, Pert's peeing, Pert's peeing. And we put it on speakerphone, and me and my wife stood there and listened to my friend urinate. Oh my God, I hope he farts at the end. I hope he, please. What is wrong with us? And here's the fascination with this. Fact of life. If your wife hints she might be in the mood, your kids will sense it and won't go to bed for 3 years. Talking about kids, fact of life, the more kids you have, the worse your parenting becomes. People that only have one child are making homemade baby food out of organic vegetables they're growing in their own backyard. Yeah, by the time that 4th child rolls around, you're smoking a cigarette while you watch your toddler pull a year-old milk dud out from under the stove and eat it. Pick the cat hair off of it before you put it in your mouth. Come on.